Last time I did this video, I got a pretty good reception, so I figured I'd do sort of like a more expanded clarification on some of this stuff. We're actually shooting in the same exact room today, another interview setup, but it's only a single person. I haven't decided if it's gonna be 1 or 2 cameras, but as you can see, I have a much smaller equipment load today. But there's a question that was asked by someone in the comments that I thought was actually pretty interesting, which is, when do I decide to use generative fill versus trying to get the background perfect? In that last video, I used some generative fill techniques to remove kind of some unwanted things in the background. And honestly, the question was like really made me think, I don't really know why and when I mean, obviously you always want your background to be as close to perfect as possible. I guess sort of, you have to set up knowing that if sometimes generative fill is not possible given the circumstance of the frame, sometimes you don't have enough time to do it. So it's sort of like, okay, do I feel like this is good enough that if I don't have that option, will I still be happy with the shot? So it's not a crutch, it's sort of an afterthought, or it's sort of it's a bonus, right? It's a bonus additive. So anyways, we're gonna set up this room. I'm gonna try to make it look a little bit different because some of this content filmed today is gonna be used in the same video, and I don't want it to look the same but different, so I want it to be completely different. So I had these screens pulled down because I think we're not gonna show the outside because today is just too bright and I don't have the lighting set up to match that brightness. I might give it a try, but I'm gonna assume that I need to bring these lights down because when you're filming somebody against a backlit background, you have to basically overpower the sun with the lights, and I went with a lighter setup. So anyways, enough of this talk. I guess I'll just go ahead and set up, and this time I might talk through some of what's going on here. Okay, so this is basically the foundation of our setup here. We have one giant 200-watt aperture with the Blackmagic. This is gonna be really hard to show you, but essentially, yeah, I really have no idea how to show you this from so far away with a GoPro. But this is gonna be our shot. The background will look more like this, much different, because very different lens, very different distance. But obviously we have a light here, and I'm gonna bring in just a little bit of fill. The background is already enough of a key, which is a hair light, so that separates them from the background, but we might bring in just a little bit of fill just to take a tiny bit of the shadow away. But otherwise, this is gonna be sort of the setup. It's much more straightforward. Tricky thing is I'm not really sure if the subject's gonna be sitting or standing, and they might be both. They might stand up for a different section of the video, so I need to be sort of prepared for both. But this is a circumstance where we have these big poles in this room that obviously I can't move. Nothing else in this room is even a remotely desirable background. I like the windows, I like the light, but the poles are almost, completely unavoidable unless I just cut way into their face, which I don't necessarily want to be limited to. That would be okay. Also, in my opinion, if this video went out and there was a pole in the background, people aren't really gonna notice. It doesn't destroy the shot. But if I have the ability to compose it just right, where if they're talking with their hand doesn't pass in front of that pole, I'll be able to just remove that pole as a still image, which saves tons of time, because this is a video that has a really quick turnaround time, so there's not gonna be, I'm not gonna be able to do any kind of rotoscoping or roto brushing to fix that, which I guess you could if you had more time.